Hi everyone, Ohayo gozaimasu. Welcome! This channel is for Japanese learners of English. Kiyomo shadowing no lesson wo yadakimashou. Listen to today's real native conversation. Focus on the rhythm and shadow along. Practice daily to master tango, bunpao, hatsuan, and rhythm. Repeat and try again tomorrow if needed. Zehi. Channel no toroku wo onegai shimasu. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
Ever feel like you're drowning in business jargon? Like, what does ASAP even mean? Let's break it down. It's not just some random letters, right? It's a call for speed, a demand for action.
Yeah, ASAP, it's like the business world's version of now please. It's those moments when you need something done like yesterday. But it's more than just that, you know?
Absolutely. It's as soon as possible, but that's not always how people treat it, is it? There's this underlying sense of urgency. It's like the clock's ticking. You hear it all the time.
Yeah.
In emails, during meetings.
Exactly. And it's not just about how quickly you do something. It's also about being clear in your communication. I mean, you can't just throw ASAP out there, especially to someone above you.
That's a good one, because you wouldn't send an email to your boss or a client saying, get this to me ASAP, would you? There's levels to this thing. As soon as possible is how you'd phrase it if you want to be polite.
Totally. It's about adapting your language, you know? I mean, ASAP is fine for a quick chat with a coworker, but you got to bring out the full phrase for formal settings. Otherwise, it's going to be like, who is this person?
Right, and it's not just about being formal either. It is about being specific, because ASAP is kind of vague, right? If you've got a real tight deadline, you should just say, I need this by Friday, 5 p. Miller, instead of just saying ASAP.
I bet. And then you got TBD, to be determined. That's the we don't know yet in business speak. Kind of a placeholder for the future, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like we know something needs to happen, just not when or how. Schedules, action points, all of that ends up in the land of TBD sometimes. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. And similar to that, you've got TBA. It's the cousin of TBD, meaning to be announced, you know? It's like we've got a plan, kind of, but we're not telling you all the details yet. Stand by.
So TBD is like the specifics are still up in the air, but TBA is, okay, it is decided, but we just are not ready to announce it. There's a slight difference there. You hear both a lot. It is confusing.
It is, and both are incredibly useful. Saves you from making concrete promises you can't keep. So you get to communicate, hey, this is coming, but we don't know all the details.
Right. And then there's ETA. I like that one. Estimated time of arrival. That's when we're talking about when something is going to show up, whether it's a person or a product.
Yeah, ETA is a classic. It's like, when can I expect you or this thing? It's a nice way of managing expectations, I think, rather than just leaving everybody guessing.
Ooh, that's true. I bet most people who use that actually know what it means. But FYI, for your information, that's everywhere. It's like the, just so you know, of the business world.
It's the, here's some info you might find useful, but don't reply if you don't want to. It's a super common one used in emails and memos all the time.
Yeah, and it's super handy for sharing info, no further action needed. But I think people should be careful how they use it. Because it's not like saying FYI gives you a pass for sharing something that's really a mess.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's not like you're sending something that's super urgent or high priority, just something worth knowing. Sometimes it's as better to say, hey, this is for your consideration instead.
That's a good one. So basically, these acronyms are like a secret code. It's like learning another language in its own way, right?
It is. It's about knowing the shortcuts, but also knowing when to take the long road and really understanding what they mean, you know, so that you're saying the right thing to the right people.
That's the whole thing, really. You can use these shortcuts when you're dealing with somebody familiar, but when you have to show up in front of a new client, no shortcuts then. You use the entire phrase, right?
Exactly. Understanding the context and the audience, that's everything. Otherwise, things get lost in translation, or worse. So use the full phrase when you need to. No abbreviations in front of a client.
Absolutely. You got to speak the language of business, but also the language of clarity and respect. You learn something new every day.
You do. And this is all part of the game, navigating the nuances of business English. And knowing how to use these phrases, whether the long versions or the shortcuts, you'll be on your way.
All right, we've finished today's lesson. How did you find it? 理解できない部分はありませんでしたか? Repeat and try again tomorrow if needed. Please let me know your kansa or request in the comments. ぜひチャンネルの登録をお願いします. I look forward to seeing you all again soon. See you next time. Bye bye.